Hello and welcome to today's webinar on how Visit England's B&B Awards can benefit your business. The webinar is scheduled to take no more than an hour at the most, including questions and answers. We aim to show you this afternoon what awards are available, how awards can really help your business, and give you an insider view of top tips on applying for awards. My name is David Weston and I chair the Bed and Breakfast Association, where the trade association for the UK for B&Bs, guest houses and small independent hotels. We've got no financial link with Visit England and we receive no public funding. We're a non-profit membership body with no shareholders, and our only purpose is to inform, support and represent our members, and we're proud to have won awards ourselves for doing so. So our subscribing members qualify for a range of member benefits, including a purchasing group, which gives members a range of discounts on suppliers and other things like that. And this webinar is another example of our mission to help B&Bs and guest houses improve their businesses, improve their professionalism and profitability. So we're proud to bring you this and to bring you other webinars, which you'll see on our webinar page. This webinar is being recorded and can be watched again from the B&B Association's webinars page. Everyone registered here for it today will receive an email from us afterwards with a link to the recording, the slides that you'll see during the webinar, and the contact details of Vicky of Visit England, who'll be presenting to you. If you have a question, do post it in the Q&A section of the webinar. We may not be able to reply to every question during the webinar itself. We'll try. And if not, we'll try and answer outstanding questions in our follow-up email or on the webinar page later. So let's get started. My guests today are Vicky Parr of Visit England, Robin Barker, whose organisation organises awards across the Southwest and the Southeast, and Andy Banner-Price of the 25 B&B in Torquay, who's a long-standing member of the association and a multiple award winner himself, including being twice crowned Best B&B in the world. And he'll give us the crucial perspective of the B&B owner in these awards. So I'll hand over to Vicky first, who'll present some slides, and in turn we'll introduce the other panelists. So Vicky.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us for this session. We hope that you'll find it useful. So, as David mentioned, my name is Vicky Parr. I'm the project lead for the Visit England Awards for Excellence. And obviously, we're going to be focusing on this particular competition for the webinar, but obviously there are other competitions that you can apply to. And a lot of the tips and advice that we're going to give you today can be used for any of those award competitions. But obviously, we'd very much like you to consider applying to the Visit England Awards for Excellence. So just to give you a little bit of background about the awards, this particular competition has been running for over 30 years now and is one of the longest running Visit England initiatives that we have in our portfolio. I've been involved in the competition since we modernised it in 2018. And we now partner with 16 competitions across England. And part of that partnership is the obligation of those local competitions to follow the same format under an agreed framework. So whether you're applying for a category in the Southwest or the Northeast, the framework is the same. So the eligibility, the application form itself, all the questions in the application form, the judging process, and also the level of feedback that you receive as part of the competition is all consistent across those 16 competitions. So everybody follows that, and so you can be assured that there is as much consistency as we can possibly get across the country. So as you can see on the slide, our role is that at the national level, we are championing the very best of what England has to offer in the tourism industry, celebrating quality, but also innovation and best practice. And within the tourism industry within England, this is the highest accolade that you can achieve. And although we have this very robust framework, which is rolled out to those 16 local competitions, it's actually really easy to apply. You just apply once, fill in one application form online, and you apply through that local, or sometimes they are regional competitions, and then you don't have to do any more. The winners are then automatically forwarded to us at the national level. So it couldn't be simpler. Just to explain a little bit about where we're at with the competition at the moment, which helps kind of set the scene for how the competition works. A lot of our local competition partners are now working towards their event. We've had about 7 competitions actually already have their event, but end of February and March is really key time for our local competitions to finalise their competition with their fabulous events. And this week we've got the North East, Liverpool, as well as the Peak District, Derbyshire and Derby. Their events are this week. And then we've got Staffordshire, the South West, York and Worcestershire coming up in the middle of March, and then the last 2 are the West Midlands and Cheshire towards the end of March. So yeah, quite a lot going on with the local competitions. So what we're doing at a national level is all of those competitions have forwarded their list of winners to us at the national level, and we are currently looking through all those applications, and our national judging will take place at the end of March. And so very quickly after those last few competitions have their events, we will then be announcing our finalists in the early part of April, hopefully just before Easter. And then our national event takes place in early June. So last year, for example, our event took place at the Warner Brothers studio in London, the World of Harry Potter. And we invite all of our finalists to that very special event. So if you're lucky enough to make it all the way to be a national finalist, you would get an invite to that special event. So, which categories can you enter as a B&B operator? So there's quite a few actually that you can consider, but the key one, which is your business type specific category, would be the B&B and Guest House of the Year category. Now, depending on your room numbers, you may be a slightly larger operation. And if you are slightly larger, you could apply instead for the Small Hotel of the Year category. So, yeah, I'll explain a little more about where that differentiation lies. But in addition to those 2 categories, there are some other categories that you could consider applying for. And these are listed in this section here. So we have the Accessible and Inclusive Tourism Award, the Ethical, Responsible and Sustainable Tourism Award, New Tourism Business of the Year, International Tourism Award, and the Unsung Hero Award. So these are open to all different types of tourism business. So you could be in the running against a visitor attraction, or a hotel, or an experience provider, but these are more about any sort of special facilities and services that you offer. Unsung Hero is obviously celebrating a particular member of staff, so that's our People Award. So yeah, if you've got a particularly great member of staff that you'd love for them to get some recognition, that's a great category to put them in for. And obviously, if you're new to the sector, have a think about the new tourism business of the year. You can have been trading in your new business for up to 2 years at the point of applying. So we class a new business as up to 2 years trading at the point of applying for the application. So do bear those in mind. There are other categories. So if you run other tourism businesses outside of your B&B operation, there may be others that are appropriate for you. There are up to 16 categories run at a national level, but your local competition might run other awards as well that are locally specific. It means that they don't forward up to us at the national competition, but obviously you could still get recognition at a local level. These are often things like dog-friendly business or event of the year and similar ones like that. So do bear that in mind as well. So just moving on. So just to give you a little bit information about those two main categories, the B&B and Guest House of the Year. This recognises not just bed and breakfasts and guest houses, but also inns with rooms or other small or micro serviced accommodation businesses that obviously provide some level of fabulous service and are creating great memories for their guests. As it would suggest, you do have to provide breakfast, and that has to be available either on site or very close. And we set the maximum for a B&B at approximately 12 bedrooms. And this could be from just one bedroom, could be just you're offering one bedroom for bed and breakfast, up to 12. If you're on the border, if you offer 13 or if you offer 11, you have the choice. It's not a hard maximum. So if you think you're more suited to the small hotel of the year category, you can opt to go for that. So the difference between the bed and breakfast category and the small hotel is predominantly the number of bedrooms. But also we would expect to see slightly more facilities at a small hotel. So we would expect to see perhaps a more formal reception, maybe a restaurant, a bar, and the provision perhaps of dinner in addition to breakfast. And as you can see here, we set the number of bedrooms for the small hotel category between 12 and 35. But again, there's flexibility there. So as I said, with the bed and breakfast category, it's not a hard maximum. So if you're at the very top end of sort of 34 to 35 bedrooms, we also have a large hotel category which you could consider. My last thing to say with regard to these categories is a lot of comments we get sometimes is that I'm too small to apply. I can't compete with the larger businesses that are operating in my area. And just to put your mind at rest, each business is assessed on its own merits, and we are assessing quality and excellence at any size. So if you are one of those businesses that is only offering 1 or 2 bedrooms, if your business is still of the highest quality and the highest standard, you still have a chance of winning. It's not all about the size of the property and the number of bedrooms that you're offering. So do bear that in mind. I'm going to hand over to Andy, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his experiences.
Hi everyone, so I'm Andy Banner-Price, as David said, from the 25 Boutique B&B. I also now run a training and consulting company. I've been asked to take part this afternoon because of the multiple awards that we've won over the years. I don't know whether everybody else is seeing what I'm seeing, Vicky, but my slide has disappeared on the screen, but I'll carry on anyway. Thank you. So over the years, we have won locally in the Devon Tourism Awards. Several times we've won gold for B&B of the year there. And then we've been put through to the South West Awards. As Vicky mentioned, we've only had to fill the application form in once. At the South West Awards, again, we were lucky enough to win gold several times. And so we were put through to the Visit England National Awards, where we won silver for B&B of the Year in 2018. And then in 2020, we won gold, and we won gold again in 2022. As David mentioned, we also won Best B&B in the World on TripAdvisor for 2 years running. And with the AA, we won Unique B&B of the Year. Good Hotel Guide, we won Quirky B&B of the Year. Too many to mention, really. So I know a thing or two about both applying for and winning awards. So hopefully I can impart a little knowledge this afternoon. So what are the benefits of applying, and what difference does it make to your business? I'm sure that many of you who are listening this afternoon will have heard of the 25 Boutique B&B, and the reason generally is because of our award wins. So it kind of proves the point that actually it's a good thing for PR and to get your name out there and to bring business in. Having PR about your business often leads to other things as well. So the fact that we had PR about one of our award wins, that was seen by Joanna Lumley and her crew, and resulted in us then being on national TV, which brought a massive amount of business in. And her show has actually just been repeated in America. So I took a booking yesterday from America purely because of that. So it leads, one thing is a stepping stone to something else. For us, it's also a point of difference and a USP. So we have a lot, we're based in Torquay in Devon on the English Riviera. There's a huge amount of competition locally with 150 B&Bs or thereabouts in Torquay, and around 30 alone just in our one street. So being an award winner sets you apart a little bit and is a good sign of quality and how good you are to have won an award. The feedback that you get from applying, even if you don't win, you will have judges look at your application and look at your whole business, and depending on which stage you get through, you'll probably also have a mystery visit, and having a third party from another professional have a look at your business and take a step back and look at that is really useful. But also just filling in the application form yourself and having to think carefully about different aspects of your business. We also always find that it's something that we don't get chance to do normally on a day-to-day basis. So as part of the form filling in process, it's quite a useful process to go through. Of course, if you're lucky enough to get through to the awards ceremony, then they're really good nights out. It's a chance to dress up and to network. We've met lots of friends over the years and other people in the industry, and it's a useful thing to go to. And we've also met famous people. So as you can see in the photo, we met Claire Balding, we met Kirsty Allsop, Simon Calder, Julia Bradbury. There's various people over the years that we've met. So it's nice to be able to say that you've met various people. And it makes our guests feel good as well. So the fact that they're coming to somewhere that's award-winning, they like to shout about it to their followers on social media. And again, that in turn helps spread the word. So what advice could I give to other people who are applying for the awards? Well, I would say initially make sure that you have the basics right. So make sure that you have a good website that's informative. Make sure you have an accessibility guide on there, an environmental policy, and all the information that your guests need and want when they're looking to book. So things like the local area, things to do, that sort of thing. And make sure that you're updating your social media. But if you're going to use social media, then do it regularly. The judges don't want to look at your Facebook and see that you haven't put anything on for 4 or 5 months. It needs to be on a regular basis or not at all. Make sure that you're answering all of your online reviews, particularly ones that are not as favourable. And it might sound fairly obvious, but make sure that you actually answer the questions on the application form. The application forms are written in such a way that underneath the answer, there's a guide to what they're looking for. So you just need to make sure that everything that they're saying that they're looking for, you've actually managed to fit into the answer. There is a maximum word count. So I usually kind of babble away and maybe come up with 650 words. The word count might only be 300 words. So I then keep going back and back and back through it in order to reduce it down to the 300 words so that I'm really concise, but still managing to answer those questions. And it's advisable to work within the word count, not to go over because it will potentially not be looked at. But I would make sure that you are maximizing the word count. So if you've got 300 words, then make sure the judges are expecting a full answer. So don't just use 2 sentences and 45 words. Try and get it towards the 300 words. And don't presume that the judge knows anything about your business, even though they will have looked at your website and your social media and your TripAdvisor reviews, etc. Then if you have a hot tub and that's relevant to an answer, then you need to physically write that you have that hot tub, because they can't, just because they've seen on the website that you have a hot tub, if it's relevant to that answer, it needs to be in the answer. And likewise, if it's relevant to a second question, then you need to make sure it's mentioned for a second time in the answer. My top tips for winners would basically be to make sure that you're making the absolute most of any award win. So although Visit England and also Robin for each of the different regional awards will send out a press release, I would usually send out my own press release if I've won something to the local newspaper and anybody and everybody that I can think of or I'll have a contact for, because it helps spread the word that you've won an award. I'd also write a blog about it. I'd make sure I sent a newsletter to previous guests. I'd obviously make sure it's on our website. I'd add it to our email footer. For big award wins, we produce a banner and put it on the front of our building. We'd add it to leaflets and business cards, and obviously put it all over social media as well. If you do go on to win to enter and hopefully win the awards, then good luck. And I'm going to hand over to Robin now, who can tell you a bit more and fill in any gaps that I've left. Okay.
Thank you very much, Andy. And I don't think there are that many gaps. As Vicky introduced me at the beginning, we run the awards across the Southwest and also across the Southeast. But we're also on the national steering group, so we liaise with many of the other English regions and Visit England as well. I'm going to just do a quick run through on 2 slides, why you should apply, and then some of my top tips, most of which absolutely support what Andy has just covered. So why should B&Bs apply? Well, for a start, why on earth not? In most regions, it's free to enter. If not free, it's often free to members. And if it's not free to members, then it's usually a very modest charge. And the benefits are so great that certainly why on earth not? And those benefits, yes, a great PR opportunity. And that's, yes, through traditional media, but increasingly it's also now through social media. I just saw a question in the chat about social media. Social media are overtaking Google as the way that many businesses, many consumers now find people. So if you're not on social media at all, you're probably losing out on some business. But you can post on social media, your websites, your email signatures. You can put that you're an award winner with one of those logos, and that gives you a point of differentiation from your competitors. Then there's national recognition, but national as well as regional and local. From Visit England recognizing you and maybe inviting you to come and speak at an event like this, like Andy. But locally, you will find that your bank takes notice if you maybe are seeking some additional finance. I've seen letters from MPs to the winners congratulating them. Many winners are often invited to put case studies on websites, which gives you yet more exposure. And if a destination is trying to organize a press trip, maybe from international or national journalists, they more often than not will turn to their award winners to see if they'd like to host them. So many reasons there. Yes, a competitive edge. You all work in a competitive industry. Who does a consumer, who does the visitor want to go and stay at? Well, they are more likely to want to go and stay at an award-winning business than one that isn't. And importantly, they may be willing to pay a little bit extra. So you can sometimes become more of a premium provider. Andy touched on this, the better business practices. We give feedback to every business who takes part, and very often we get feedback from them saying that they act on that feedback, and we often see references to that feedback in following years. And it's a real delight for us when we see that a business has acted on some of the suggestions that we've made on how they can become better still. So important, rewarding, motivating your team. Tourism is a team business, and recognizing that being an award winner is not just about you as the owner or the marketer. It can be your cleaners, your chefs, your suppliers even, and celebrate with them. Such an important one. And yes, if you do make it to the awards events, they're fabulous. And we see so many conversations take place at those events with people picking up ideas from others. And linked to all of this, there's one that's not on the list, which is it helps you with recruitment and with contractors, because it is very hard recruiting staff at the moment, but it is much easier to recruit if you're an award winner than if you are not. So much of that duplicates what Andy said, but hopefully I've stressed a few of the points there about why to enter. And jumping on one slide to some of my top tips, again, which often reflect Andy's comments. There's often this perception that to be a winner, you have to be an expert or a wordsmith at writing your entry. It is not true. I have seen thousands of applications of entries through the 16 years I've been involved in awards. And my tips are, number one, be passionate. You are the business owner or manager. I bet you believe that you're the best, and you want to get that passion across. You don't want to get across that you are an average B&B and a bit like the others in your street. You want to get across that you believe you're the best, and you want to carry on being the best. So find a way to get that passion across in your entry. And secondly, you are the expert. You know your business better than anyone. You don't usually need a PR guru or someone to write your entry, because actually you will know it better than they. And almost certainly you'll get that evidence across. And yes, evidence. Like in so many things in life, judges will be looking for evidence, hard numbers, facts. No fluffy adjectives saying you're the best thing since sliced bread. Put in hard numbers, how you maybe measure your customer satisfaction, how your social media following has grown, how your web stats have grown, how the reviews have improved, as well as things like whether you monitor water use or energy consumption and so on. Put in numbers, because they are so convincing. And please don't leave your entry until 1 minute to the deadline on the final day, because you won't do a good entry. Start early. So start as soon as the awards open for entry in your area, or even sooner in terms of gathering the evidence. Start, maybe do a first draft, leave it, take the dog for a walk, go and chat to your friends, then come back to it. You'll find that you have more ideas you can add before you ever get round to that final submission. And my final tip there is share it. So don't just keep it to yourself. Go and share your draft with your team, your family, maybe some of your suppliers. Maybe even share it with your customers. I bet they will come back and give you a few things that you had never thought of that you may be able to add on your own website too, and maybe give you a few more quotes. So get their ideas, share it, and you will end up with a fantastic entry. And my final comment there is there really is no reason not to enter and to do very well. And I very much hope you'll all be entrants in your schemes this year. And I'm going to hand back to Vicky to give a few more detailed answers on what happens when.
Thanks, Robin. So we've sort of talked you through a little bit about the awards, some top tips on how to write the best applications and how to get the most out of your being involved in the process. But I want to talk you through actually the nuts and bolts of how you get involved. So you might be familiar with the competition in your area, but if you're not familiar or which competition in your area is the one that is aligned to the Visit England Awards for Excellence, there's a list on the right hand side here of all of the 16 competitions across the country. And there's 2 QR codes. The first one is to look at all the different categories that are available. So obviously we've given you a sort of a summary of the key ones that you as a B&B owner are likely to be interested in. So that's the first QR code, jumps you straight to the section on our national website of all of the categories, and that lists the eligibility criteria and also a sample application form, so you can actually see what questions you'll be asked before you even start the process. And then the second QR code is actually if you're not familiar with the local competition in your area, we have a competition finder on our website. So that second QR code jumps you straight to that section on our website. All you need to do is put in the county where your business operates, and it will tell you which competition to apply for. Now, I would say at this point is there are a few parts of England which don't currently run competitions that are aligned with us. And we are working really hard with the destination organisations in those areas to try and get competitions started. So please do be aware that if your area does not offer a competition, unfortunately, there isn't a route for you at the moment to get through to the Visit England Awards. However, if you are on the border of a county that does run a competition, it is possible that you may be considered for that neighbouring competition. It just depends on how close you are to the border. So if you've got any questions, you can contact your local destination organisation or competition provider about that. So once you've worked out where your local competition is and which categories you would like to go for, and in most cases you can submit multiple applications. There are some limits depending on the category, but you're not limited to just one application. So taking on board all the tips and advice that Andy and Robin have given you today, submit the best application possible. Then you will go through the judging process at the local competition, and hopefully you will become a local winner. And you're obviously then able to do all the promotion about that win in the first place. And then you will, if you are a winner in your local competition, you will get that automatic forward to the National Visit England Awards for Excellence. So because we run such a lot of competitions or partnered with lots of local competitions, they don't all open at the same time. Nothing's ever straightforward, is it? So they the local competitions open for applications at a time that suits them, and therefore have already started the process. So Cumbria Tourism Awards are already open for applications, and they will actually be closing for applications in early March. So if you're in the Cumbria area, you need to move swiftly to be considered for the 2024-25 awards cycle. So this part now, we're looking forward. So the timeline I was talking about earlier gets a bit complicated, is the sort of end of the 2023-24 set of competitions. And this, what we're looking at here, is the next cycle. So although we're still yet to announce our 2024 winners, competitions are already gearing up to open for applications for the next year of competitions. So as I say, Cumbria have already opened, and then the remaining competitions open at different points during the year between April and August in this year. So yeah, just be aware of when your local competition opens, so you don't miss the deadline. Usually they are open for between 4 weeks and 2 months, depending on the competition. So there's usually a bit of a window there, but as Robin said, start early, don't leave it to the last minute and rush your application. So there we go. That's how you get involved. Obviously, the QR codes are there for you to scan, and obviously David will send you the PowerPoint slide to pick up on these details after the webinar. I'm now going to hand back to David, who's going to tell you a little bit more about the B&B Association.
Well, thanks very much, Vicky, for that. That's great, and thanks, Andy and Robin. I think Andy's points about a stepping stone, awards being sometimes a stepping stone to things you hadn't expected, is a really good one. And in his case, leading on to TV and other things, and press trips, as he said, that may be funded by Visit Britain or others, they will typically pick up award winners. So yes, it's a great stepping stone. One thing can lead on to another. So I think that was a very good point. And the point about a professional visit from an inspector is always useful. I agree with that in my experience of running a B&B. Just this slide currently says a bit about the Bed and Breakfast Association. We're here to help you. B&B's guest houses, small family-run hotels. We're founded by B&B owners for B&B owners. We're not for profit, no shareholders, so we're only here to support you, inform, support and represent you. Membership's only £1.15 a week, so do consider joining us if you're not a member already. There's the link there, and as Vicky said, the links will be below the webinar on our webinar page if you want to catch up with the webinar, and we'll send all the registrants links from and the slides from this webinar. Thank you very much for your questions that have appeared in the chat. I think we've answered. I've been keeping an eye on it as much as I can, and I think we've answered some of them as we've been going along. And Andrew asked about social media. I think Robin replied about that. It's good to be on social media. I mean, you don't have to be, but it's certainly very good to be, and you might be missing out if you're not. Lou asked about the cost of applying and the regulations or the criteria for applications. We've talked about that, and said in most regions it's actually free, or certainly a very low cost. Barry asked about when are the Cumbria Awards. Well, as Vicky's slide said, it's February. The Cumbria ones are one of the earlier ones. And Georgina asked about the Lancashire Awards, which is May. Carol asked about, she said she's in Leicestershire, but on the border with Lincolnshire. Should you apply to Lincolnshire or Leicestershire? I presume, Vicky, and you'd be best to answer that, I presume you need to apply to the county in which you actually are. Is that right, rather than a neighbouring one?
Yes, if your business operates in Leicestershire, then you should apply to the Leicestershire Awards. The only time there's any flexibility is if you're in an area where there is no competition running, and you're quite close to the border of a county where there is a competition running, then we can allow some flexibility. But say, for example, if you're based in Derbyshire, but you wanted to apply into Cheshire, then you wouldn't be allowed to do that. You must apply in the county where your business is based.
Okay, and if people are put off a bit by thinking they've got a very tiny chance of winning, you know, there may be thousands of people applying for each award. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, so we across all 16 competitions across all categories, we have in the region of about 2,500 applications. So when you bear in mind that's 16 competitions and in the region of 16 categories, it means that at a local level per category, often you're looking at sort of 5 to 15 businesses per category. So there's a very strong chance that you could get recognised. And obviously part of what we're looking in doing this webinar is to get some more applications into the B&B and the guest house categories, because we feel that there's lots of businesses out there that aren't currently applying, which we know are extremely high standard, and we want to make sure that they get into the competition and get recognised.
Yes, and besides those lucky few who win the top awards, just to be in the finalists category, or to be one of the list of nominees for awards, it in itself can help to some extent as well, can't it? Because it can give that publicity. People start to see you on these lists, and that can help too. It's not just for the winners only. Is that right?
Absolutely, and I think it's like anything in business. It's a journey, and as Andy and Robin were saying, often the feedback that you receive as part of the process helps you to think about other things maybe that you haven't thought about in the past, make some changes, evolve the business over time. And often what we see is that over a number of years, businesses apply. Maybe not every year, they might skip a year and come back. And each time we can see their businesses improving. And we have had businesses that have crept up the ranks from highly commended and crept up through bronze, silver and gold. And so, yes, it's definitely part of that business development journey, that just because you may not reach the top spot in your first attempt, it doesn't mean that it's a valuable and useful process to go through to help raise awareness of other elements of the business that you can improve. And also you can benchmark against the others. You know, if you're not lucky enough to reach the final, you can go and have a look at those businesses that have reached the final in your area or in your neighbouring areas, and do a bit of mystery shopping yourself and identify what those businesses are doing differently and better, and which means that they're getting the better rankings in the competition.
Yeah, that's a good point. Robin, were you wanting to make a point?
I just jump in. There's sometimes a bit of a perception that you've got to be a 5-star luxury B&B to be a winner. That's actually another fallacy. If you are a fewer star non-luxury B&B, you also stand a really good chance. But we've had hostels outperform 5-star establishments in the past. If you are a really, really fantastic hostel, super clean, sustainable, with great service, you will virtually always do better than maybe a tired 5-star business with grumpy staff, not very clean, and maybe having not begun on the access and sustainability journeys. So please don't be deterred if you are not super luxury 5-star. You stand a very good chance, whatever.
That's a good point. And Andy, I guess you can endorse that. And it's not just even about facilities; it's about the welcome you give and the attention to detail, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's in exactly the same manner that our TripAdvisor reviews don't mention all the things that we've spent huge amounts of money on. It's the small things that count, and it's your attitude to customer service, and you know, the information, kind of, you know, the pre-information that you're giving, the email that is received once a booking's been made, and the whole flow of the journey of the guest from the second they hit your website to the second they check out, and even beyond. It's making sure that everything is as good as it can be for that particular guest and their needs, but their needs don't necessarily need to be at a 5-star level.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's a very good point. It's about meeting or exceeding the expectations, whatever level of star rating you might be. It's how you meet and exceed those expectations of the guests, and it's all about hospitality at the end of the day, and that's what we're here for and what people notice, as Andy says. And a question is, if you're not a member, if you're not star rated currently by Visit England, can you still apply for award schemes, Vicky or Robin?
Yeah, shall I jump in? Yes, absolutely. The awards for excellence are open to anyone. I've just sort of been having a flick through the questions, and there some people have been mentioning the Rose Awards. Now, the Rose Awards are slightly different. They are operated by Visit England, but they are linked to the quality schemes. So if you've had a Rose Award in the past, they are linked to your quality scheme participation with Visit England. So if your assessor has said to you, if you've opted out of the scheme for some reason, that's correct. You wouldn't be considered for a Rose Award if you're out of the scheme. However, this is something separate. And it obviously, if you are quality assessed and you have a star rating, then a really good thing to do is attach your report from the assessor as part of your application, because again, that gives the judge additional information. But not at all. You don't have to be a member of any organisation, and you do not have to be a participant in the quality schemes. As Robin said earlier, some competition organisers might make a small charge for non-members, but otherwise it's not, you're not stopped from applying just because you're not a member.
Thanks, Vicky. And there's a question from Caroline. How do you, just have to do this one very briefly because it's not on awards as such, but how do you apply for a star rating scheme? How do you initially apply for that to be inspected and approved?
Okay, so if you go to the Visit England Business Advice Hub, which is under the website visitbritain.org, so visitbritain.org, and go to the Business Advice Hub. There is a section on the Business Advice Hub all about the quality schemes. So just click on that, and maybe David, we could perhaps put a reference to the schemes on the webinar follow-up. But yeah, if you're going to Visit England or visitbritain.com, that they are the websites for the traveller, for the visitor, whereas the visitbritain.org is all for the industry information. So it's all it contains all the pages on the awards, and also loads of tips and advice and resources for other topics as well.
Yeah, and people may have heard last week there was a big announcement that star rating schemes are being modernized and updated, but that doesn't change the principle of these award schemes that we've been talking about today. Is that right, Vicky?
Correct, not at all. Yes, it's still a Visit England initiative, but the awards operate under a separate sort of set of rules and guidelines.
Yes, and one of those new things announced was called Visitor Ready, and somebody put that on the chat as a question, and that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're talking about awards, but we may well do a webinar with Visit England about the changes and the Visitor Ready and other things. So it's certainly worth looking at and finding out more about. We've been informing our members about it, but it's not specifically linked to awards as such. So I think we've covered the questions that we can pick up on, and we'll try to pick up on any others if there's other ones we haven't covered in our follow-up emails. And I'd like to thank the panelists very much for taking part today, Vicky and Robin and Andy. And don't forget, in case you missed some of the webinar today or want to rewatch any of it, it'll be shortly available on our webinars page at the B&B Association website, and we'll put alongside it the slides and the links for follow-ups so that you can find it easy to follow up on those. And so thank you for all of the three of you for being panelists today. And finally, thank all of you for joining us this afternoon. And do keep an eye out for future B&B Association webinars. Details as ever on our webinars page of our website. And we'll hope to try and bring you similar subjects with experts to talk you through them. And good luck to all of you who choose to apply for awards. I hope lots of you will choose to apply for awards this year, and good luck, and maybe I'll see you at one of the awards evenings. That'd be brilliant. So good luck to everybody, and thank you from Vicky, Robin and Andy. Goodbye, everybody.